Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Go Big or Go Home World Cup Edition. Nothing going on in the world of the Big Ten, so show's over. I'm just kidding. I am Old Man Troy, joined by the wonderful youngster Kevin Cunningham, a.k.a. Kid Cunny on Twitter. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm, I think, much cooler than you are, Troy, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm dying up here.
I had my air conditioning go out on me in the house, but that got fixed yesterday. So now it's, nice and cool. So
okay,
I'm doing good temperature-wise.
Well, there's something in this world, like, I don't know. We have to be like twins of a parallel universe. And I'm being totally serious about this. So I got to tell the listeners, I'm getting off base before we even get into this. Quickly, nothing going on in the Big Ten. We're going to talk World Cup today. So if you're not a World Cup fan, you probably don't want to listen anymore. But you might want to listen to my fun story. So, Kevin, get this, and really think about us being somehow related in a parallel world. I'm doing the Red Light Sports Ramble with Evan Witalis. Go to Whitewater. They're winning national championships, so I call you. Okay?
Yep.
You go to Whitewater. We're doing a show together. We both graduated from Whitewater. Not that big of a coincidence, I guess. But then you start looking at just a couple months ago. You have to put your dog down. I got to put my dog down. My air conditioner goes out in my car. Your air conditioner goes out in your house. There's something really, really freaky going on here. There's too many coincidences going on in our life. Other than we're like 20 years apart. But think about that. Just think about it. Something happens in our life, and then the other one, the same thing happens.
When did you graduate from Whitewater, Troy?
1992.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's like 22 years off, I think? Yeah, 22 years off. I was going to say.
Well, you're 27, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was born in 91. So.
Yeah, so I'm 48. So we're 21 years apart.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, think about the freaky things that are now happening.
I know.
Because you had, and I'll even go back to the car fire.
Yeah.
Your car burst into flames, right? Boom! We make fun of it. We make light of it. But then what? 3 months later, my engine goes in my car.
Yeah.
Not quite a car fire, but still car problems. I'm telling you, there's something freaky going on in the world. But I had to share that with the listeners. But, what are your quick thoughts on that? I mean, we're going to talk World Cup, but think about that.
Yeah. Whenever something weird happens, well, I'm getting married in like a month and a half, so maybe, Troy, you're going to get married again in a month and a half.
I don't think my current wife would like that too much.
You'll be fine.
Well, okay. I'm putting my fingers on my eyes, and I'm stuck in traffic, so I'm not going to hit anybody. You said that, though, and my wife brought up to me probably about 4 or 5 months ago that we should renew our vows.
There you go.
So that's
maybe
kind
you'll
of
renew them on the same day that I get married.
Oh my Lord! Let's talk World Cup. Get my mind in another place, because otherwise it's just going to sit here and I'm going to keep trying to think of things. So World Cup round of 16, knockout stage done, over. We're down to 8, youngster. Down to 8. I'll let you just fill the listeners in on how the round of 16 went.
Oh my! What just? Okay, it was. As we're doing this show, it's Tuesday, right? Tuesday afternoon. England's finishing their game against Colombia. It was literally the last game playing. England was up 1-0 in the 93rd minute, and
Did
then
Colombia tie it?
We started this show, and it's now the 95th minute, and Colombia tied it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to click now.
Well, I'm going to tell you, as we talk about this, I'm going to talk about how things have been quite exciting in the knockout round. I said this was kind of a watered-down tournament, but I'll tell you what, I enjoyed the knockout round, and it has not let me down one bit.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. Colombia scored in the 93rd. It must have been a few seconds literally after I switched off the tab. So right now it's in the 95th minute, probably going to go extra time, I would assume, England-Colombia. So we don't know the result of that one as we're doing this, I guess, in the next 30 or so minutes, as long as we have the show for another 30 minutes. We'll be able to tell you who advances from England and Colombia. But there were certainly a few juggernauts, so to say, at least extremely talented teams, so to say, that did not make it out of even the round of 16. Obviously, Germany is one of those. Another team, or I guess not out of the round of 6, but I guess we'll start with the round of 16. Okay, just to get to there. Uruguay played Portugal. Uruguay won that one. Let me check the score so I have all of these in front of me. Uruguay won that one 2-1. That to me, yeah. There's been actually no. That one was in regulation. Unless
was that? Oh yeah, okay. I'm wrong game.
Yeah. There were a couple different penalty kick games though. Both of them on July 1st. Yeah, Uruguay played Portugal, and Uruguay won that one 2-1. To me, I guess I'm just going to start, I guess, this little segment here, the round of 16 segment, talking about the teams on the left versus the teams on the right. You've got Uruguay, Portugal, France, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Belgium, and then Japan on the left. So there's a lot of very strong countries on the left. On the right, this is just my take. Spain, Russia, Croatia, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland, Colombia, England. You've got some solid teams in there, some interesting teams. Like you like Switzerland, right, Troy? But there are some heavy hitters on the left versus some teams that to me are just not as talented, so to say. So to me, I mean, it's very interesting to me who comes out of the right side. And then Spain played Russia, not to fast forward, but Spain played Russia in the round of 16, and Spain lost that game.
That was the penalty kick game.
Yeah. So Spain's out from the right side. To get into the corners or quarters, we'll do that in a bit. But just round of 16-wise, just looking at the teams, the 16 teams that are left, the left side of the bracket seems to be a lot more loaded than the right side. That's just my take. I think right now, honestly, I would take probably any of the teams on the left, the 4 teams on the left versus any of the 4 teams on the right. Right now there's just 3 of them, because England and Colombia go in extra time as we speak. But I guess I would maybe favor England to get to the World Cup final, which
I think they're losing, Kevin, and I think they're losing because of Pickford. If they have one weakness on the team, it's goaltending. And to let a goal in late in the game, I mean, I haven't seen the play. I'm driving, but I've not been impressed with his play, even prior to the World Cup. I thought that was always their weakness, is goaltending. They got great defenders. I mean, John Stones had a heck of a game in group play, and you got Maguire back there, you got Trippier back there. I mean, my gosh, what a defense. And they got Kane up front. They got really solid midfielders, but they're weak in between the pipes. And you got to have great goaltending to win. So, again, I didn't see the play. Maybe he was left on an island. I don't know. I'll have to go back and take a look at it. But continue, youngster.
Yeah, it came off a corner. I think it came off a corner, and then someone also crossed it in. Maybe it was probably like a set-up pass off the corner, and then someone crossed it in easier from a better angle, and then it went in from a header. Right now it's the 97th minute as I'm speaking again. But so round of 16 on the left side, Uruguay played Portugal. Uruguay won that one. To me, Portugal's solid. Uruguay is solid. Portugal has arguably the best player in the world, if not the best player in the world, then the second best player in the world. But Uruguay winning, I guess any team that would have won that game, Uruguay or Portugal, wouldn't have surprised me. I don't know about you, Troy. I mean, I'll go down the list on this left side, and I guess if something sticks out to you, feel free to interject. But Uruguay beating Portugal to me, I don't know, doesn't surprise me.
To me, that wasn't an upset.
Right.
Like I have a little part-time job on the weekends too, and I walked in and everybody thinks like I'm the World Cup guru because I played and coached soccer. And so they're asking me about the game, and they're like, well, Portugal's got an easy road now. I'm like, don't count out Uruguay.
Yeah.
They are probably the most underrated team that nobody talks about. And you look at their roster, they're just, again, that's a team, Kevin, that actually has very good players. And you can look at them and say very dominant players that can change games, but they play well as a team. That's a scary team. You know, and you look, I think at times in this tournament, Portugal was leaning on Ronaldo and just saying, take us to the promised land. Right. When I watched them play, there's just, again, you can watch, and I know I said Portugal to me was maybe one of the favorites to win the tournament, but then I watched them play in group play, and just, again, like I said about England, like I said at Argentina at times, something's just missing. You can have great players, but if you don't play great team soccer, you're done. And Uruguay, they played a great team game against Portugal. That's all I got to say about that game.
Yeah. Again, to me, that was a flip of the coin. To move down, France played Argentina. I would have guessed that France would have won that game because, like, I basically in the same boat as you, Troy. That Argentina's got all the talent in the world. They didn't even utilize, I think, all their talent in this game, which they hadn't previously in the group play. There were games where Dybala wouldn't even get in. There were games where Higuain would get in, but it would be super late. I don't even know if Aguero played against France. I don't know. I just, with Argentina, I just don't know. It was a very entertaining game. Argentina, I think, was up 2-1. They may have been up 3-2. No, they were up 2-1, and then France, I think, went forward, went up 4-2, and then Argentina got a super late one in like the 93rd to make it 4-3. But France advanced 4-3. They were in control once they were down 2-1, if that makes sense. It was basically all France from that point on. Argentina defensively has never been that fantastic, in my opinion. Goalkeeping-wise, certainly not great. Just a ton of talent offensively, and as always, every 4 years we get to see how it doesn't work. Between, you know, they probably have 4 of the top 15 goal scorers in the world, and yet they just can't seem to ever get it together as a team, which is sad to see because you have all this talent on one team. I would literally say they have 4 of the top 15 goal scorers in the world. And yet sometimes some of them don't play. Sometimes some of them don't get in until the 70th minute. It just never seems to work for them. So France advancing to me, playing Uruguay in the quarterfinals, that's basically what I expected. I don't know about you, Troy.
Well, I guess I got to share a little something, and I apologize for all the noise for those listening in. If you're ever driving in Pittsburgh, I'm actually in the Squirrel Hill Tunnel right now, so it's echoing in my own ear. I can only imagine what the listeners are hearing.
I think you're fine.
Well, it's loud. It's very loud.
Yeah.
I wanted to share this because those that listen to our show, and there are people, because I was at my little part-time job again, and somebody said, well, how can you say Argentina always poos the bed? They made the final 4 years ago. Yeah, they made the final 4 years ago, but I need you to go back and take a look prior to that final appearance. When was the last time they appeared in a final? You go in and you look, and it's lost in the knockout round, lost in the quarters, lost in the semis. It's been a while. So I gave them credit. I said, okay, they made it 4 years ago. I said, but they're not going to advance this year. And he was a big Argentina fan. So, yes, they made the final 4 years ago, but if you go back, Kevin, and look at the results prior to that, there should be multiple World Cup final appearances from Argentina in my mind.
Yeah.
And the team that was assembled this year, the talent on paper, if you were playing like a video game and inputting the data with the players, Argentina would probably cruise to the final. Would cruise if it was on a video game. There's just always something missing. So for France, I mean, it surprised me that France did win. I thought Argentina could take care of France based on talent alone, but again, it goes to the weaknesses in the back. You conceded 4 goals to France, and they got good scores, but France to me is, when you look at the round of 16, I would have ranked them probably in the bottom half as far as power goes. But my hat's off to France. They pulled it off. And, again, it's not surprising to me, though, because Argentina always finds a way to prove the best. And then they did again against France. They got down, well, they got up, and then I don't know if they just rested on their laurels, but, man, France never gave up. Again, my hat's off to France. So you can move on, youngster.
I think France is better defensively. I think France has a better goalie. I think also Kylian Mbappe, who plays for, what team does he play for? PSG. He's 19 years old. He had a hat trick in this game. He was phenomenal. And he's on PSG as a 19-year-old getting huge minutes for a reason. And he showed it against Argentina. He's one of the next great strikers out there. If this World Cup and this past soccer season goes to show you, PSG is going to have to pay him a lot of money to stay at PSG. I'll say that much. At France, to me, especially with him, if he's emerging during this tournament even, and he had throughout this past soccer season, but if you add that type of goal scorer to a solid midfield, a solid defense, a solid keeper, I don't know. I honestly would have France moving past Uruguay into the semis.
I disagree, youngster. Uruguay, I've been watching them play. Their team play and the way that they're going to possess the ball. I'm not saying that France isn't going to be in this game. It's not going to be 5-0. But yeah. Uruguay right now, to me, the way that they're playing team soccer and the way they can possess the ball, I like Uruguay in this game over France.
Okay. I'm going to get our predictions down, just so we have them as this is loading. And I have to see here. Brazil played Mexico. Moving on, round of 16. Brazil won that one 2-0. I did not watch any of that game. All I know is literally that Brazil won 2-0. I would have assumed that Brazil would have won. Mexico, to me, is, again, another solid team. Brazil's got a ton of talent. At times, 4 years ago in the World Cup against Germany, they got slaughtered like 7-0, literally, like 7-0. So Brazil in this World Cup seems to be riding the ship, beating Mexico. They've got a very quality opponent in the next round who almost didn't get there. But Brazil beating Mexico in general, it didn't surprise me.
No, it didn't surprise me at all. That was one of those, because I'm playing this DraftKings game where you pick the winners all the time. And so I'll go back and kind of recap. I did pick Portugal. I thought Portugal with Ronaldo, I thought they'd find a way this year. So I was riding Portugal. I said that was a team I thought that could win it all. So I was wrong there. Then as we move on, the next game's already slipping my mind. France versus Argentina. I actually picked France. I thought Argentina would get by, but I actually in DraftKings did pick France, and part of it is because Argentina, barely got by the group round, and we're not playing really great soccer. And so then in this game right now, as we move forward, talking about Brazil-Mexico, I had Brazil winning too. And if Neymar can dominate up front, that's tough. To defend Neymar, anybody, any defense, no matter how good you are, that guy's a player I don't think, Kevin, that gets talked about quite enough, because Messi and Ronaldo, they're getting the headlines. But Neymar, to me, he's pretty close to those guys, Kevin. This is a guy that does phenomenal things up top. And if Brazil can get it together in the midfield and possess the ball, they could make a run to the final. But I picked them over Mexico, too.
Yeah, I think pure goal scoring wise, talent wise, I'd probably say he's the third best player in the world behind those two. And he doesn't, I guess, for anyone who pays attention to soccer, probably, and shouldn't put Neymar in the same group as Ronaldo and Messi, but I think he probably is the third best goal scorer. And there are certainly guys like Kane, who stepped up a ton this past year for England, who has put in a ton of goals. Aguero's a fantastic goal scorer as well, also on Argentina. Dybala's another one on Argentina. Higuain gets a ton of goals. There are a lot of guys out there who get a lot of goals. But yeah, Neymar, to me, probably the third most talented player. It is my novice analysis on soccer and talent, individual talent. But to move on, last game on the left side, Belgium versus Japan. Belgium's my team. If you've been following this podcast at all, while talking about the World Cup. Belgium, Japan. Belgium, to me, again, my favorite team in this tournament because I just personally like most of the players on this team. They're just fun to watch. Some of the guys are on my favorite team in general. So as far as club teams go, but Belgium played Japan. Belgium was down 2-0 in, I think it was like the 60th minute. That had me figuring that Belgium was done. And Japan, and the announcers were talking about it during the game, that Japan advanced with 4 points. And they had won 2 games in their last 9. Not just, obviously part of the World Cup, but the 6 games prior to that. They had only won 2 games out of their last 9. And yet, here they were in the round of 16, up 2-0 on Belgium. Belgium storms back for 3 straight goals and wins 3-2. That was nerve-wracking for me, and I'm sitting here in the United States just rooting for Belgium. So I'm sure if you were a true, legitimate Belgium fan and follow Belgium soccer and or are from Belgium or are listening to this show and you're in the country of Belgium, obviously it would have been one heck of a game, to say the least. But yeah, they came back down 2-0 and won it 3-2 in the second half. They were down 2-0 in the second half and scored 3 straight goals. I mean, they just kept pouring it on as far as chances went, and they even missed a couple of good ones in there. And it's like the announcers were even saying, it's like this just isn't Belgium's night, because they're just we're getting easy headers 5 feet away from the goal, and they just weren't going in. And it's like, okay, they're just done. But they scored 3 straight to advance and play Brazil, which to me might be the top 2 teams remaining in this whole thing.
That would have been a good final.
Yeah.
Well, Belgium Brazil would have been a really good final, but it's going to be a quarterfinal game. I mean, I'll just sneak in here quick, Kevin, about this game.
Yeah.
Japan, to me, this is one of those games where Japan was trying not to lose, and they weren't playing to win for 90 minutes. And what happens when you try not to lose? You lose. It just looked to me like Japan was playing not to lose once they got the lead. And what happened? They just were getting dominated by Belgium. And when you play not to lose, you lose. And that's my analysis of how that went down in the last 20 or so minutes. It just seemed to me that they were playing to try to hold on, let that clock run out, and you can't do that in soccer. You just get overly dominated, and that's how Belgium scored 3 goals in, 25 minutes, Kevin, or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, but so that's the left side. Uruguay plays France in the quarterfinals. Brazil plays Belgium. Do you want me to go through the right side, Troy? Do you to pick our games quickly on the left side?
We can make our pick right now. Who are you picking?
So I've got France over Uruguay. I'm writing this down right now. So let's see, France over Uruguay, and then it's Belgium and Brazil. I'll just go with my little fandom and say Belgium beats Brazil. I don't think Brazil's. I'll stick with Belgium. I'll let my fandom get in the way. But I honestly don't think Brazil is head and shoulders better than Belgium. I think Belgium's really strong on every single level. That includes goalkeeping. I don't think Brazil is honestly that much more talented, if at all. Seriously, I think Brazil. Yeah, I think Neymar is the best player on the field in that game, but I don't know, for the next 5 best, probably on Belgium, and they've been playing super well except for the first 60 minutes against Japan in this tournament as a whole. So I don't know. I like Belgium going forward.
Well, this is I'm telling you, there's something going on here. This is odd, because I'm going to disagree with you again. I think this game goes extra time. I think this game goes to PKs. I really do. It's going to be a 1-goal game, and now that I said that, one of these teams is going to blow the other one out. But Brazil, Belgium, like you said, Kevin, if you go position by position, Belgium actually might be more talented. But
Right.
I'm going to go back to having a dominant striker up top and watching the way Brazil played against Mexico. And I know Mexico is nowhere near the level of Belgium. But if Brazil can control the midfield and have Neymar up front getting the ball, getting through balls, feeding him the ball, I think it's a matter of time before he knocks one or maybe two in against Belgium. And I think Belgium can score against Brazil. Like I said, this is going to be a one-goal game, but it could be a 3-2 game. I don't think it's going to go 4-3. It could be a 2-1 game, a 3-2 game. I think Neymar just takes control in the back at some point, Kevin, and knocks in the game winner. But it could go to penalty kicks also. But I think Brazil's going to edge their way through. If Belgium would win, would it surprise me? No. Like I said, this could be a World Cup final game. I like both these teams. Unfortunate that they got to meet in the quarterfinals. But I'm going to take Brazil.
Yeah, I gotcha. And you said you got Uruguay over France, right?
Yep.
All right.
So we disagree on the left side of the bracket completely.
I wanted to ask you too. I guess I'll get this. I'll get your final pick on the left side. So you've got Uruguay and Brazil. Who do you have winning that one?
Uruguay.
Ah, okay. All righty then. And I've got, let's see, what do I have here? Belgium and France. So I've got Belgium past France because I'm just going with Belgium this tournament since the beginning. Let's see here. So I wanted to ask you before we get to the right side of the round of 16, I wanted to ask you what you feel as a soccer player, soccer coach, how you see it when games like Spain and Russia go 1-1 and then they go into extra time, no one scores, 120 minutes have been played, it's tied, and it ends up being solved in penalty kicks.
I hate it.
Yeah. That's my assumption from most soccer people is that it's like, okay, this is not,
However, youngster, I need people to realize this. Those words, I don't use the word hate very often, but I hate penalty kicks to decide a game. However, you have to realize that at some point enough is enough. And the reason I say that, and I know people say, well, in hockey they continue to go, but in hockey they're blasting so many shots on the goal. You don't get a lot of quality scoring chances in soccer. And if you kept guys out there running around, literally, you would start having medical problems. Yeah. I played soccer, and for those that are saying, oh, they're wimps, I need somebody to go out and run 6-7 miles or run straight for 90 minutes, and not sprinting 90 minutes. But what I need you to do is, if you want to try this, if you've never played the game, you can find me on Twitter at TroyRobert967. I will give you a summer workout program to prepare you to play 90 minutes. And it's not 90 minutes of a light jog. It is light jogging with sprinting, full sprints. It is light jogging, full sprint, don't sprint. Jogging, full sprint, don't sprint. It is a workout that you would probably have a hard time doing. And that's how you get ready for a soccer game. Because, Kevin, soccer game for 90 minutes is not 90 minutes of jogging. It is not 90 minutes of sprinting. In my workout, there's even some walking in there because there are times when you can actually exert and rest, exert a time where you can rest. You can walk, and you can try to recover. But think about running for 90 minutes, and then you're going to go 30 more minutes at that level. That's 120 minutes of basically nonstop some type of exercise. You're not standing. Even when you walk, you're moving, and your body is at that point in motion. So could they extend the period a little bit? Sure, they could. The problem is, Kevin, that if you continually play the game of soccer until a goal is scored, you would probably see a death on the field. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. I'm not saying that jokingly. But if you played a game where it was sudden death and you have two evenly matched teams on a pitch and continually kept playing and playing and playing, you would probably see somebody keel over of heat exhaustion. And I'm saying that in a very factual way. And as a former player, yeah, losing in penalty kicks suck. But I also go back as a coach, and when my guys get all mad when we lose in penalty kicks, I'm like, well, remember that shot that we hit the post? What if it went in?
Right.
You remember the goal that we gave up? What if we wouldn't have turned it over at midfield? We wouldn't have been in penalty kicks. So again, it's not it's no solution. But as much as I dislike penalty kicks to decide a game, especially at the World Cup level, you've got to at some point just say enough is enough. So that's my quick take on that. I don't know what yours is.
I guess I'm with you. There are games where it seems like nobody ever scores, and that's part of people who are anti-soccer. That's the complaint, and I understand it. I mean, especially if you don't know the sport, and I know very little in general. But so if you're watching a bunch of guys and it's scoreless for 90 minutes, or even if it's 1-1, it can be boring. Obviously, just like hockey, just like football, basketball. If you don't understand the sport, and football can be the same way. I mean, if you don't understand football and there's poor quarterback play, average quarterback play, and it's like 10-7, it's just like, this is stupid. It's not fun sometimes to watch the Browns and the Bengals play. Sometimes it's not fun to watch the 49ers before Garoppolo play the Bears. There are certain NFL games that I have basically zero interest, and I can find an interest somehow, some way in every game because I'm just that into the NFL. But for any average fan to watch, the 49ers before Garoppolo play the Bears last year, it's like, who cares? It's just two bad teams, two poor quarterbacks. It's not interesting to see 10-7, 13-10, 9-6, whatever it is. But so soccer in general, I mean, again, do you want to keep playing, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes again, and make it a 180-minute game, 210-minute game, 240-minute game until someone scores? It's just hard to score in soccer. So that's why you see these scores 2-0, 2-1. Both of the penalty kick games on July 1st ended in 1-1 ties. So yeah, I fully understand your point, and that's why I sort of back penalty kicks, because I don't know what. I guess that's my final question to you, Troy, is what would you do other than penalty kicks? Would you do anything? Do you think you hate it, but does it make sense at the end of 120 minutes?
Well, I actually, and I think, just throwing things out, they used to have the golden goal, and they had sudden death. I like that. It adds a little more excitement. And then they changed it back to playing the full 2 15-minute overtimes. I liked the golden goal because I've seen games that have played the extra time where there's no golden goal and both teams score. And now you're back at square one. And again, part of me is, and I'm still an old school guy, but part of me still has to look at player health. And again, it's every sport, not just soccer. It's a lot of running in soccer. It's miles upon miles that you end up running when you're playing a soccer game, just one game. There's no good solution. What I would do is somewhat what they do in hockey, and they play short-sided to allow the chances to have more chances to score.
Right.
So I was thinking, because one of the new fads now is 7-on-7.
Right.
Maybe what you do is you do not play 11 on. Maybe you play the if you want to play the 30 minutes 11-on-11, and then go to a 7-on-7. And at that point, I would imagine with the skill level of these guys, you're going to have so much more space on the same pitch. Don't shorten the field. 7-on-7 on the regulation pitch, you'd have a goal. There'd be a goal somewhere there, Kevin. And you're a guy that follows soccer. Think about that. I mean, you think about any of these teams, you put 7-on-7, do you know how much space is going to be on that field for Neymar or for Ronaldo or for Messi? Holy cow.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a solution. And don't do it right away. Play the 30 minutes, and I would actually play that 30 minutes as a golden goal. Somebody scores, game over. But
Right.
if it's still tied after 30 minutes, then I would go into an extended do 30 more minutes. Again, you're adding a lot of time and you're putting a lot of stress on those legs. But again, the space that you would have going 7-on-7, you would probably see a goal in that first 15-minute time frame by one of the teams because there's just so much space on the field. That's where you got to hope that your goalie can pull something out of his behind. Because if you eliminated 3 guys off the pitch, the space that you would have and the ball possession, I wouldn't want to turn the ball over because you might not get it back because there would be so much space. What do you think of that idea, youngster?
I like it a lot. I think you would see the skill players like Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Mertens, Dybala, Aguero, whoever, with that much open field. I like it. It's something I didn't think of, and that's why I asked you the question, because I'm sure over those 25 years, 35 years, however long you played, coached, whatever it is, I know it's somewhere in there, that you would have some sort of idea as to something different. And I like it a lot, and I think it would get casual fans very much entertained. Even if you made the first 15 minutes of extra time, say the traditional way, 11-on-11, and then, for the second 15 minutes, maybe you change it just to keep it at 120 minutes, so that you're not having to condition for 150 if need be. And with that much open space, I don't know if you need 30 extra minutes, to be honest. But if you have it as a golden goal, then, that can obviously take that away anyway. But so, yeah, I think that would certainly open up the field, have more opportunities. You'd see a lot of it'd be fun. I'll leave it at that. So to move to the right side, Spain played Russia again. I mentioned this before. They ended in a 1-1 tie. I would have had Spain advancing in this game. I would have been wrong. Russia ended up winning in penalty kicks. Also, just to keep it with these two games in the top right, Croatia played Denmark. My opinion of that one, I probably would have had Croatia winning. They did. Again, 1-1. Croatia won in penalty kicks. So I would have assumed that Spain would have got out of this little group of 4 here in the top right corner. But Spain didn't even get past Russia. So the host country of the 2018 World Cup is still alive. Russia beat Spain. Croatia beat Denmark. Russia plays Croatia in the quarterfinals.
Well, you got to look, too, in that Russia game, scoring an own goal. An own goal. Holy cow. Can you imagine if that game ended 1-0, Kevin?
Right.
That guy probably would not be able to show his face around Russia.
No.
And then, though, the icing on the cake is it goes to penalty kicks and he gets a chance at redemption, and he buries his penalty kick. So I'm going to tell you what. I picked Spain to win, and I'll give you my 2 picks in DraftKings that I picked. I picked Spain to win. I picked Denmark to win. So, hoo. But when you're that Russia coach, after scoring an own goal, and then to have the confidence in your player to let him take a penalty kick, I give him a pat on the back. And I'm not saying you did it to make him feel better, because if I was coaching and I had a player that scored an own goal in the game and all of a sudden we're in penalty kicks, I would really hesitate, even if he was one of my top 5, of letting him kick. And the reason is because what's going to be on his mind?
Yeah.
I had an own goal in this game. Man, I really got to make up for that own goal. And your head is not where it needs to be. For those that are soccer players that have played, if you've ever taken a penalty kick, that you have to have the utmost concentration. These guys make it look so easy, Kevin.
Yeah.
But if you ever watch, and if I wish they'd put the camera like right on the face, because I used to take some penalty kicks, and you need to block everything else out of your mind and go through your routine. I mentioned to you on another show that when you're taking penalty kicks, always go to the same spot. Always go to the same spot. Never try to go away from the same spot. I'm going to go back to the England game, and I know England versus Panama, but if you remember Harry Kane in that game, he went to the same spot again. the goalie went to the other side. And so whoever's coaching that goalie, come on now. Most coaches are going to tell you, if you're a penalty kick specialist, never change. Yeah, if you're a good player, yeah, you can change it up because you can hit any spot in the net. But the levels I coached at, and I told my penalty kick guys, never change. I don't even want you screwing around in practice. When we practice penalty kicks, you're put wherever you're going to kick in a game, that's where you're going to. But coach, the goalie knows. I don't care. Beat the goalie then. The goalie knows where you're going. Good. Beat the goalie. If we miss, we got to run 2. Yeah, you got to run 2 laps, and he knows where you're going. Then go there and score. So you really have to concentrate as a penalty kick guy, Kevin. And I bring it up because I go back to the coach. I would have hesitated putting him in that final 5 because I don't know where his mind is. I can't get inside his head. And when you're taking penalty kicks, it is all mental. You've taken so many reps with that same penalty kick. Now it's all about striking the ball like you're supposed to, putting it where you want to. It's all between the ears. So, I give the coach credit for letting him take a penalty kick. That's all I got there, youngster.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. A little update on England. Well, I don't know why I'm updating. We're not. This isn't live radio. But as we're doing this show, just for those listening, I guess if you want to understand our standpoint on this, England-Colombia is still tied 1-1, 116th minute, I would assume, going to penalty kicks, but you never know in this World Cup. I think
do not assume, youngster. Do not assume.
117th minute now, Troy. But anyway, I think we've done like 18 extra time goals in this World Cup. I have no idea what that means in terms of comparing to other years. It just seems like it's happening often. We're in the 91st, the 93rd, the 48th, whatever minute it is. It seems like extra time is just begging for a goal to be scored. Anyway, in any case. So moving on to this bottom right corner, I guess it's going to become very interesting for us as we're talking about this. 118th minute now. Sweden played Switzerland. Sweden won that one. What did they win? It was 1-0. I didn't watch any of it. Sweden played Switzerland. I would have gone with your Switzerland team, Troy. I think you like both these teams, don't you? Sweden and Switzerland. I would have went with Switzerland, and I would have been wrong. Sweden won, again, 1-0 to play the winner of Colombia-England. Again, I did not watch this game. I would have picked Switzerland to win. And if you would have told me, I guess, just from the start of this World Cup, that Russia, Croatia, and Sweden would all be on one side in the quarterfinals, I'd be like, huh? I expected Russia to advance. I don't think I picked Sweden to. No, I didn't. I didn't pick Sweden to advance to add a group play. And Croatia, did we pick Croatia? Depending on. I did. You didn't. For Group D, I had Croatia moving on. So Russia, Croatia, and Sweden, all in the quarterfinals on the right side, and then you got Colombia and England still playing as we're recording this. But so
guess we got to extend the show, and guess we got to extend the show until that game is over.
I know. Agreed.
I don't think we'll have a problem with that. So no. We'll go to the. I had fallen out of the call there real quickly. It's actually a funny story. I told you my air conditioner broke, so it's hot in this car, and I'm literally, there's sweat coming off my brow. I literally dropped the phone. I did, and it hung up on me. So after the Russia game, what game did you go into, youngster? I did not get to hear.
Croatia, Denmark. Did you hear me for Croatia, Denmark?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
I didn't. I honestly, Troy, I didn't hear you ding out. Croatia, Denmark. I would have had Croatia moving on, and I would have been correct on that one. That was also. Let me go back and make sure here. Yeah, that was also penalty kicks. So both Spain, Russia, and Croatia, Denmark ended in penalty kicks. I would have had Croatia moving on. I thought you said you had Denmark moving on.
I did have Denmark moving on. I took them in DraftKings. I like Denmark. They're mini Germany to me, but not as skilled. And so they played. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go. Sorry.
Yeah, and so I liked Denmark, and that was one of the, if you think back to the preview show we did, I said unfortunate for Denmark and Swiss. Those are the two teams that I thought, kind of when you're looking at their bracket, like, oh man, it's going to be tough for these guys. They both advanced. The two teams that I liked, that I did have Denmark moving through, but I look at Denmark, Kevin, Croatia, very talented team, and Denmark, two totally different styles. And, they lost in penalty kicks. It was a good game. And Denmark had opportunity, Croatia did, and, this is one of those games, man, it had to end in a penalty kick. Don't like it, but I like the way Denmark played, even in qualifying, even in this World Cup. Like I said, to me, a style like Germany plays, but maybe just a lesser skilled Germany. But when you play good team soccer, and that's what Germany didn't do, Denmark played good team soccer. And, they almost beat Croatia. It came down to penalty kicks, unfortunate for them. So, Croatia, they're alive. So those that are Croatia fans, enjoy it, because now you get to move on and play the host country. That should be an interesting game. My pick there, I'll just give my pick right now, Kevin, before we move to the bottom of the bracket. I think Croatia's too much for Russia. I think Croatia's going to win that game.
Okay. Let me see here. So you've got Croatia over Russia. And then I will disagree with you once again. I'll have Russia beating Croatia. And on the bottom side, we obviously don't know yet. But so you didn't hear any of my Sweden-Switzerland talk. Is that correct?
Nope, I did not.
Okay. So that's where I really lost you. Okay. So I started this saying Sweden-Switzerland. I would have had Switzerland advancing past Sweden. I would have been wrong. Sweden won this game 1-0. And you like both Sweden and Switzerland. Is that correct?
Yeah, I like them both, but I picked Switzerland in DraftKings. So my right side of the bracket, really not looking well, and I picked England over Colombia. So that means Colombia is probably going to win, just to give it a straight shoot on the right side that I didn't pick one right. Again, I mentioned the way the Swiss played, a good team concept. It came down to one goal. I did not get to watch this game, but the Swedes, too, this was one of those games where I was telling people, again, at my part-time job, they're like, who do you like in that game? And I'm like, I'm taking the Swiss, but I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if Sweden won. And it's going to be a good game, a close game. These teams, when they go on the pitch, it's going to be an exciting game. This is one of those games, Kevin, where I wanted to watch it. Unfortunately, I had other things going on. Some people, you talked about it, don't like low-scoring games. I bet you if I sat down and watched it, I would say, hey, man, that was a great game. Whereas others like to see that 4-2 Argentina game. No, I can get as much excitement and satisfaction out of a 1-0 game as I can out of a 4-3 game. But, like I said, I like Switzerland. I like Sweden. Both good teams. Sweden gets to move on. They stay alive. That's great. So where are we at now in this other game here, Kevin?
So I had, this England-Colombia game, it's in the 122nd, so it's about to go to penalty kicks. So I also made this point. Russia, Croatia, and Sweden in the quarterfinals, if you would have told me that at the start of the tournament, I would have not had gone nuts, but had been very surprised. We both had actually, no, you had, let's see, I had Croatia moving on. You had Nigeria moving on out of that group. You had no faith in Croatia. But Croatia's there, Russia's there. Again, we both had Russia losing to Spain. If we had known the round of 16 matchups, we didn't think these teams are in the, I still don't. I still don't think Russia, Croatia, and Sweden are one of the top eight teams in the world. I don't. Brazil, Belgium, France, Uruguay, you can make the argument that they're in the top eight. And you like Uruguay more than I do. So, those 8 teams, although you had France in the bottom half of these teams left in the 16. So,
yeah, I do not put France in the top 8 either, Kevin.
Okay.
They're a solid program. But if you're now going to compare France to Russia, Croatia, and Sweden, if you put them in a round-robin bracket, I would say France wins. France wins that round-robin bracket. So I think of those 4, France is better. Then you mentioned I don't have faith in Croatia. It's not that I don't have faith. I looked at it and went, man, matchups. When I'm looking now, I know Sweden's going to play the winner of the Colombia-England game.
Yeah.
But now I look at Croatia against Russia. And so all of a sudden, the team I didn't even have going to the round of 16, I'm picking them to go to the semifinals.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, very true. Winner of Colombia-England, we don't know it at this second. Again, it's going to go to penalty kicks. Trying to confirm that it's going to go to penalty kicks. But Colombia-England, to me, out of these 4, Russia, Croatia, Sweden, and then either Colombia-England, I would have Colombia or England beating Sweden. And then, to me, maybe I'd have Russia. You have Croatia, right? Yeah, you have Croatia. Maybe I'd pick Russia over Colombia. I think England is the favorite. I think that once Spain went out, and maybe even with Spain, to me, England's, as of right now especially, and penalty kicks obviously can go either way, but England to me is the best team on this right side now as we're looking at it. Russia, Croatia, Sweden, and I guess who do you think, well, again, it comes down to penalty kicks, but going into England, Colombia, who do you think would have won? I would have had England advancing.
I'm going to call this while we're recording the show, and we're going to stay on until the penalty kicks are over. I think Colombia advances on penalty kicks. I told you I don't like England's goalkeeper. I think Colombia wins. Now, England has better strikers and probably better ball strikers. I think Colombia wins in penalty kicks. So now that we said we're going to advance the show, this will be one of these things where this penalty kick round goes like 20 kicks. That's just our luck.
Yeah.
But I just, again, I don't have faith in the England goalkeeper. And therefore, so I'll look at it both ways, and I guess we can kind of go so we'll know when the game's over where our picks are. If Colombia wins, Kevin, I pick Sweden over Colombia. If England wins, I pick England over Sweden.
Okay.
So that's my thought there. Now, so when we're looking, and then on the top, I already have Croatia beating Russia. So then Croatia against Sweden, if that should be the matchup, I pick Croatia to the final. If England wins, then I take England over Croatia, and England's in the final. How about that for a little bag of marbles? Did you understand that?
Yeah. So we both think that England's the best team remaining on the right side.
The best team remaining right now, I mean, as we're waiting for penalty kicks, is England. But I don't think they advance through penalty kicks. I think Colombia does.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So I guess let's see here. What can we diagnose for the next few minutes here? Overall, Troy, to you, it was interesting to me, at least coming into this tournament, that especially not the U.S. I think that we both think that the U.S. is one of the top 32 programs if giving their best, and that's something you hesitated to touch on in episodes prior. But the U.S., to me, whether they're in this tournament or not, doesn't add to the, I guess, overall star power of this tournament. Italy being out of this tournament, that changes it to me, because Italy, to me, I would pick Italy over Uruguay. I would pick Italy probably over France. I think Italy is one of the top 8 teams, top 8 countries in the world for sure. Are there other teams? Is Italy the most notable for you? It certainly is for me, as teams that did not get into this tournament, Are there teams? Obviously, Germany would have added the new thing here. But as I'm looking this up, let me see here. Where would Germany have gone? I think they would have gone on the left side, I believe. Germany, let's see. Okay, so they could have replaced Sweden if they won Group F, or if they would have replaced Mexico, they would have also been, or if they would have replaced Sweden, they would have been on the right. If they would have replaced Mexico, they would have been on the left. So Germany not advancing to the round of 16. I guess, are there any teams, obviously Germany would be one of them, but Italy not being in this tournament as a whole affected it to me. And part of that, again, is because my favorite club is in the Calcio A, that, it's teams in Italy. But so it affected my viewing of the World Cup, not that, I watched any more because of that, or obviously if the U.S. would have been in this tournament, more games as a whole. I think I watched a fair amount in general. If Italy would have been in, I would have watched their games. If Germany would have been in the round of 16, I would have watched them as opposed to Sweden being in these games. Does anything stand out to you just going into the round of 16, teams not even making it in this tournament, that affected you at all, that you would have wanted to have seen? Italy, to me, is one of those. Obviously, the U.S. is one. And Germany not making the round of 16 hit me as well.
Well, you touched on the one thing. The biggest surprise of the World Cup was not having Italy there.
Yeah.
Italy's always a team that I actually am. I like Italy when they're in the World Cup. It's a team that I enjoy watching, and for them not to make the World Cup, that would kind of be, as we relate some of these things to other sports, that would be, Kevin, like the New England Patriots not making the playoffs. That's really what it would be like. They're always there, and all of a sudden they're not. And Italy has a ton of talent. I mean, a ton. You look at their roster, and the guys are playing in top clubs around the world. But again, it goes to show you that sometimes there can be a coaching issue. And I think a lot of it had to do with Italy. That had a lot to do with it. There's another part of this, though, Kevin, that, again, as you said, I didn't touch on it in prior shows, and you know where I'm going with this. It's the political side of soccer around the world. I don't have to get into it, but there was corruption in FIFA. And when you look at countries in soccer, and I even think, I'm not saying there's corruption in U.S. soccer, but I know that there are certain things that go on, and I'm not saying that there's bias, but there might be a little bit of bias. And as you go to these other countries, and soccer is the sport, I guess I'll go out there on a limb, and if somebody wants to call me out, find me on Twitter, TroyRobert967. I'm not saying, that soccer is this holy roller sport. I do believe that, when FIFA came out and there was corruption, I didn't even bat an eye, Kevin. I don't think you and I really talked about it. I didn't bat an eye. I figured there was stuff going on. And it's just the way that sports works. But is there bias in selection of teams? In my mind, yes, even in the U.S. I've been there. I've been around it growing up as a player, as a coach. And again, Kevin, I told you I grew up in Green Bay as a soccer player. So when I went down, and not that this name even means anything to you, Neenah, Wisconsin. When I grew up, Neenah, Wisconsin was probably more of a hotbed of soccer than Milwaukee was. And so when there's tryouts for a state team or a regional team, and the kids from Green Bay went down to Neenah, we were frowned upon. We were better than half the kids from Neenah. But we're from Neenah. We supposedly have better coaching. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to say it. What's a podcast? You a-holes. We're much better than you. All six of us that came down here are better than you. And, the most satisfaction we got, Kevin, is playing club soccer and beating Nina in the summer. Man, oh, man, was that great. And the same coach that was selecting the regional team. Ha, ha, ha. Got the last laugh on you, you bonehead. So I saw it as a player, going to tryouts and knowing that I was on that field and I outplayed 3 or 4 guys that got selected over me. But that was the way it worked. And I swear it still happens today. It still happens today. So for me, Kevin, when I looked at an Italy not making it, is it partly the coach's fault? Yes. But is it partly selection of your team? Yes. And is there bias in selection of teams? Yes. I'm not even wavering on that because I know what happens in the U.S. I know what happens in Italy. I know what happens in Germany. I know what happens around the world. There's no fair way to do it. So how are these teams comprised? Not on talent alone. There are people with political pull. There are people with political power that want certain guys on the team. And I probably just really opened up a can of worms. You can agree or disagree with me there, but I believe there is political bias in every country when it comes to selection of national teams. I'm going to end there and get a drink and see what your thoughts are.
I would agree. I think that, and I grew up as a basketball kid, honestly. I played a lot of different sports, but basketball is my main sport. And when it came to AAU teams, when it came to rec leagues, absolutely. There were coaches that loved coaching certain kids. There were coaches who tried to pull fast ones on other coaches by getting certain players, by certain players appearing in tryouts worse than they actually were so that they could get multiple better players. And that's on a recreation league basketball league in Florida when we're 9 years old, 10 years old. I mean, kids were bailing on tryouts, not showing up, but missing layups so that coaches could get the guys that they wanted. So that newer coaches going into the rec league, coaching these kids at 9 years old wouldn't understand that Joe Schmo is better than what he's putting on at his tryout. So certain kids could get those kids. When it came to AAU, there were, so there's a ton of stuff that happens in the selection process is my point. Even at a 9-year-old youth recreation type thing. So does it happen in soccer overseas where it's, their main event in terms of entertainment and sports and popularity? And absolutely. That does not shock me whatsoever. And that's the thing with Argentina, too, is that you've got, again, probably 4 of the top 15 goal scorers in the world, and some of them don't even play in games. Elimination games, and against France. And you're up 2-1. Oh, my God, we're down 4-2. Should we put in one of the best goal scorers in the world? Nah, I think we'll just leave him on the bench the whole game. It's like, what? Obviously, there's something more there. So I agree with you 100%. I'll leave it at that. England, Colombia is done, Troy, and I don't know. I'm guessing that you don't know the outcome. England was down 3-2. During penalty kicks, England scored one. It's 3-3. Colombia had a chance to go up 4-3. They didn't. England made the save. England responds with a goal, and boom, there you go. England advances past Colombia, Troy, 4-3 on penalty kick.
All right, so I have England in the final then. So I have to watch this save because, like I said, I still have no confidence in the English goalie.
Yeah.
So he came up with a big save, and I want to watch it. I want to see if it was a great save or if it was a poor penalty kick. And
right.
For those listening in, I guess I will say the reason that I'm not just giving credit to the goaltender is my years of playing and coaching, Kevin. I want to see if that PK was miskicked or if it was ultimately a great save. Because it can be a great save. But I want to watch. I want to see. A save was made, and people say, "Ooh, great save." Well, maybe it was a great save, right. But I need to break it down. I need to see the kick. Was it on target? Was it where he wanted to place it? Because, again, these guys play at such a high level that most guys can hit the side netting or the back bar with their eyes closed. and you miss kicks sometimes. So I want to see. But again, now that England won, isn't this amazing? I thought Colombia was going to take them down in PKs, but now they didn't, and now I have England in the World Cup final, Kevin.
Yeah. Did you think before the game, just to make sure, you had England beating Colombia before the game started, right?
Yeah, I did. So I got one right in my DraftKings on that side. Yeah, I had England. I had England over Colombia.
Yeah, that's the only one, by the way, of these games that we agreed on, as far as I think, right? Let me see here. Yeah, you had, or no, I guess I'm doing this from the quarterfinals. Okay, but so quarterfinal, or wait a minute, hold on. I'm messing myself up here. So we both have England over Sweden. Okay, so that's the only way that we are in unison here in terms of I'm typing and talking at the same time. Okay, so that's the only game that we had picked the same, is England beating Sweden. And then you've got England beating Croatia.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay, so let me see here.
And then I have England versus Uruguay, and I'm going to take now England to win the World Cup.
Oh, my God.
I like Harry Kane.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I like the way he plays. I mean, some people say, oh, arrogant Englishman, but if you watch Harry Kane play, he plays with a lot of passion. He reminds me of a blue-collar player. He works, and he's good. He's not one of those forwards that just sits in the limelight. If you watch him, and again, Kevin, you know I watch off the ball as much as I watch the ball. Harry Kane works off the ball. And there are times, and I told you this in a soccer game, where you can, I don't want to say be lackadaisical, but you don't have to be exerting all of your energy. And I think he does it better than most. And so when he has to exert his energy, man, he makes things happen. It's kind of amazing to watch. So he's really making a name for himself in this tournament. But that's what I got. So I got England winning the World Cup there, youngster. What about you?
I have Belgium again moving on from the left side. I've also got England beating Russia. England, why do I have, okay, England beating Sweden. Oh, I already have that. Okay. England beating, I think I'm done as far as, yeah.
I think the heat is getting to your head there, youngster.
Apparently. I've got, the way I'm doing this is I could be doing it better in terms of organization. But yes, so I've got England beating Sweden, then I've got England beating Russia, and then I've got Belgium and England in the final, and you have England, Uruguay. But so I, again, as people probably understand by now, I've got Belgium winning the whole thing.
Wow, we totally disagree on this one. This is going to be fun. Next week's show is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I guess from my last thing, Troy, to you, I coming into this tournament, I thought Belgium was one of the top 5 teams. I wouldn't have had them winning the whole thing. Belgium winning the whole thing in the end would surprise me, even though that's what I'm picking now. I wouldn't have picked them over Germany. Is there another team maybe that I wouldn't have? Maybe I would have picked Belgium over everyone else. Maybe I'm lying. But so I guess I wouldn't have had Belgium winning this whole thing. Coming into this tournament, obviously you wouldn't have had England winning the whole thing. Where does England rank for you in terms of these teams coming into the World Cup? I'm sure it surprises you a little bit that you have England right now winning the whole thing.
It surprised me a little bit, but I had England up there, just looking at everything going on. I thought England was a team that could get through the knockout round and maybe into the semifinals. But it would have all depended on, where everything rolled out. I like England. I just talked about my only problem with England is goalkeeping, because I think at times there's lapses in the back. And I haven't watched Pickford play in the Premier League, and maybe it's because I'm biased against him, because every time I pick him in DraftKings, he gives up goals, and they either get a draw or they lose. So maybe that's why. But I think that goes to my point. when he's on, he can play very well. I mean, at that level, it's that way with any goaltender, right? But there's times to me that he just looks lost, and I wouldn't put 100% confidence in him. So that's my only weakness to England. But you look at striker play, you look at halfback play, you look at defensive play, England is a solid team top to bottom. And so I would have put them as a team that probably could have got to the semis. But my first team I told you was Germany. I thought they were gonna win 2 in a row. Then my second team was Portugal. They're gone. They're done. Boom, out of it. And then your Belgium team, I liked Belgium. I didn't feel I had to go down to a third team. So at that point, I've got a bunch of other teams sitting in a little, I guess, in my little hand. Belgium would have been one of them. Brazil is another one. So Brazil's still alive. I would have put Brazil in there. I probably would have had England maybe on the cusp of that little group of teams that were in my hand. But I clearly would not have looked at the whole 32 and said, I think England's going to win it. But I thought they were a team that could make some noise in advance. So that's all I got. Youngster, you got anything else?
Yeah, my last thoughts. I mean, again, I was with you. I would have had Germany winning the whole thing. After Germany, I guess looking at it now, I would have had Belgium over everyone else outside of Germany. I guess I would have Germany, Belgium, then probably Brazil would have been my third. Maybe, honestly, France. No, I would have. Well, yeah, I guess France 4. Looking at it, yeah. And I like Italy over France. I think Italy being out of this tournament really hurts it. I'm much higher on France than you are, obviously. But, yeah, I think Italy would have been right up there and certainly could have competed with anyone. So, I think the left side is pretty stacked compared to the right side, but you've got England winning the whole thing. So you think England's the best team remaining. Is there anyone that you think, I guess you've got Uruguay beating Brazil and then England beating Uruguay. Is there anyone that you think would give England fits? I think any team with a ton of offensive talent, like a team like Belgium or Brazil.
Yeah, Sweden's going to give England fits, Kevin. It's not going to be a blowout. Sweden. This is the thing. I picked, if you remember, I said that the Sweden team, if Colombia won, I was picking Sweden. There's a reason for that. I like the Swedes. And again, it's the game of soccer. And England is a more complete team. But Sweden, if they pressure the ball and they force England to make quick decisions and eliminate a lot of the space, Sweden could give England fits. You could see England go down to Sweden. Again, that game would not surprise me if it happened. Sweden has a chance. They have a fighting chance to beat England. I just think Harry Kane right now is playing really good soccer, and when you look at the top players remaining, I put my money on Harry Kane, and I just mentioned sometimes England, with the attackers going up, they can be susceptible in the back, and Pickford is not 100% reliable in my book. And if the Swedes can push one through, the Swedes could win. So, I think Sweden right off the bat can give England fits.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. If you didn't have England, let's say Sweden wins and beats England, would you have... If Sweden wins, they're going to the final. Whoever wins that game is going to the final. And then would you have Uruguay winning the whole thing? At that point, I would probably switch my pick, yes. Because I told you, I like the way Uruguay is playing team soccer. That's why I advanced them from the left side all the way to the final. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'll leave it at that. I guess my final thoughts, if Belgium doesn't win, then I'll have Brazil winning the whole thing. If Brazil doesn't win, then I'll have France winning the whole thing. If France doesn't beat Uruguay, maybe I'd pick England, Uruguay to me would be interesting. Obviously, that's the way you see it. So certainly interesting for you.
But I'm never right. So whatever I got down there, pick against me. Pick with the youngster. Stick with the youngster. Don't pick what the old man picked.
I may pick any team from the left over any team on the right. I'll stick with that, I guess. I'll pick any team on the left, no matter who it is, playing any team on the right, as it is right now with the final 8. So I guess I'll leave it there. I've got nothing else to add for this week's show.
Alrighty then.
Again, obviously, those Big Ten fans who hate soccer have not listened for an hour and 15 minutes. But as Troy mentioned, there's, to say there's nothing going on in Big Ten world, there's always recruiting and stuff going on. But I think there was some baseball all-star game. But, were we going to talk about a college baseball all-star game or a college baseball world or home run derby, for 30 minutes? It's just there is not a ton going on in the Big Ten. And, like last week's show, if the NCAA is coming out with new rules and changing the way the college football landscape is going to be going forward for the foreseeable future, we'll talk about it. And we'll talk, like last year, we talked about Penn State and their, sanctions that they had. We've talked about Michigan State in the past and stuff that's gone on with that program over the last year. If there's big topic stuff, we'll talk about it. But over the past week, there has not been anything huge going on in the world of the Big Ten. There just hasn't. And if there's topics that you guys want us to talk about, whether you're a soccer fan listening now or just a general Big Ten fan in general, tweet at us at Youngster Old Man. We take any topic. We've done it on shows before. Troy and I do a number of shows together weekly. This is just one of them, or, a combination of two, I guess, for this week. But we take topics from listeners who want us to talk about stuff. We've done it in the past. We'll do it in the future, especially this dead period in the Big Ten, because it just is until the fall, honestly, until football season really starts picking up. Once it gets to August, then I would say we've got another month before we can really start looking into, teams, little team previews, team schedules, where we think teams are going to finish, stuff of that nature. I think it's safe to say that we'll leave until August. But so for the next month, it's going to be more big picture type stuff.
All righty, folks. Hope you enjoyed the show today. For the youngster, I am the old man. Again, find us on Twitter at Kid Cunny is the youngster at Troy Robert 967 is myself. And then our show handle at Youngster Old Man. Hope you enjoyed today's World Cup recap. Again, for the youngster, I am the old man. Have a great week, everybody. We'll get back at you next